Hi, and I'm Grant Lewis, and welcome to The Room Live. We're filming here in Hollywood, Los Angeles, California, and I'm really excited to have our guest tonight. And what I really want to sort of pose to you out there is, have you ever done something in your life where you look back and wish you hadn't have done it? And maybe there's this part of you that sort of holds on to the past and it's preventing you from moving into the future. Well, tonight's guest, for me, is just the most incredible story. I got given this book. I was on holiday with a group of friends, and I got handed this book and said, hey, you might like this. And it was like watching a train wreck, is the only way I can describe it. I just sat there and read page for page. People were talking to me, and I was like, go away, just go away. I was mesmerized by this book. It was the most incredible success story in the beginning. Here is a guy, his name is Jordan Belfort, and he was making $1 million a week at started at age 26, making $1 million a week, and he was at the height of success in the stockbroking world. And what happened was the success sort of went somewhere, and we're going to find out from Jordan. But it ended. There was some drugs, some hookers. There was crashing of helicopters, crashing of airplanes, sinking 167-foot or 62-foot yacht. I can't remember what it is. And this book was just unbelievable. Now, the book has actually been turned, has been turned into a script, is actually, and we're going to talk to Jordan about that, is going to come out as a feature film with supposedly Leonardo DiCaprio playing Jordan. So we're talking like an incredible story. Now, my interest is where, and Jordan will tell you about this, he actually was indicted and actually spent 2 years in prison. And after that, it's sort of like, well, what do you do for an encore? Like that's what he fitted into life was just absolutely incredible. But then what do you actually do as an encore for that? How do you let that past go and start a fresh life? Especially when it would be so public and for everybody to know. So this is the book, The Wolf of Wall Street. Couldn't put it down. It's an absolute incredible read. And please welcome Jordan Belfort to The Room Live. Welcome.
Thanks. So I'm done. You said it all pretty much.
I said it all. I mean,
I could probably add a couple things, but maybe one or two. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the part I'm really interested in. I mean, let's just start with I'm really interested with the story of the meatpacking business that you were originally in, and then sort of how that led into the stockbroking and.
Right. Let me give you the quick story. Basically, I was a born entrepreneur. I exited my mother's womb. When I was 8 years old, I was delivering papers door to door, knocking on doors, expanding a paper route. When I was 12 years old, I was shoveling driveways after snowstorms in New York. Yep. Make $20 a driveway after a big snowstorm. I hit it big for the first time when I was 16, selling ices on the beach, blanket to blanket to blanket.
Wow.
And that's how it started. And after that, I was hiring people to come work. We had 12-year-old kids selling puka shell necklaces for me. My mother was buttering bagels in the morning, and that was really the way I always was moving towards life. Looking
at 16.
I was just always wanted to make money. Didn't come from a wealthy family. Came from a good family, and I was taught right from wrong, which is an interesting part of the story. But I spiraled out of control a bit later on. So anyway, ultimately, I put myself through college with the money I made on the beach, and then spent 1 day in dental school.
Yeah,
and the reason I went to dental school is because my mother had inserted a belief in my head, great woman, that the only noble way to make money is you got to be a doctor. You got to be a doctor. Well, I didn't want to be a doctor because that would have taken 10 years, but I figured dentistry would be pretty good. I'd make a lot of money and be a pillar of the community. So I went to dental school, and the first day I walked in, I'll never forget this, there was 105 kids sitting in the dental auditorium, and the dean's in the front, and this gray-haired guy, and he says, I want to welcome you all to the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery. You should be very proud to come this far. You're going to really do great things with your life being a dentist. All right, sounded pretty good. Then he says, let me say this. The golden age of dentistry is over. If you're here to make a lot of money, you're probably in the wrong place. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm in the wrong place. I stood up and I walked away. I walked out. I dropped out of dental school on my first day. All right? Didn't have the heart to tell my mother. She called me house. Oh, things are great down in dental school. Eventually, I went back up, and that's how I fell into the meat business. And I answered a blind ad in the paper, and I didn't know it was sales. I never really sold anything before. The stuff I had done on the beach was really just hard work. I was going blanket to blanket. I had a vision, which is important. I had a vision of what I wanted things to be like, but I never really sold anything. Well, in the meat business, they were going door to door selling steaks and shrimps and lobster tails out of the back of pickup trucks. And the first day in the field, I broke the company record. First week, I shattered the company record, and I realized I had a gift for selling. The words just flowed.
Yeah.
After about 3 or 4 weeks, I was like, well, why should I work for these people when I can go to the meat market myself and buy the meat, get the double markup, which I did. I bought one truck, started training people, bought a second truck, and then I noticed that the gift I had was not even for sales per se. It was the ability to train and motivate other people.
Yeah.
Before I knew it, I had 26 trucks on the road.
Wow.
I had 26 salesmen working for me, and I thought I was making a fortune. Now, understand this, I wasn't really making a fortune. I was making every classic mistake a business owner can make, a new business owner.
Yeah.
I was overexpanding, I was undercapitalized, I wasn't screening out my employees. Half of them were crack addicts. Now, I'll tell you what, crack addicts make great salesmen.
Right.
Well,
they want to get more crack.
On the high.
Yeah.
But on the binge, they just disappear, right?
Disappear.
So all of a sudden, I'd give a guy meat and he'd disappear. I wouldn't see the guy 3 days under a bridge sleeping, right? So that business went bankrupt, and I lost everything I had when I was 24 years old.
24, wow.
Bust everything out. I had a little red Porsche. They towed it away. I had a tear in my eye when they towed the car away. And I had less than, I was probably in the hole $10,000, had to declare bankruptcy. And what do you do when you're that age? In New York City, I wanted to be rich. I was a good salesman. I went down to Wall Street.
Of course.
Got a job on Wall Street. And the first day, which is where the book starts off, when I walk in, it's like the military. You're lower than pond scum.
Yeah.
They treat you
I remember lower
they
than
treat
pond
you like the
scum,
lowest
yeah.
of the low. And I worked for 6 months on Wall Street as a connector, which is just, hello, Mr. Jones, and pass the phone to someone that was licensed. I wasn't licensed yet. Watch these kids. They were kids, in the average age 25 to 35, and they were making $500,000 to $1 million a year. And I was just watching this, and I was so broke. But I still was positive because I had hope.
Yeah, wow.
Because when you're in a room like that and you see all these people make money, I'm like, well, I can do that. I'm better than them. I'm the best salesman. I was all full of piss and vinegar. I was married to a great woman at the time, my first wife. She's a couple of wives ago, unfortunately. Haven't done that good in that department, which is understandable. Okay, but anyway, so she was great. She was at home, and finally my day came. 6 months of torture of being the lowest guy in the totem pole. I passed my test, and the manager goes, go and get him. Me and 5 other guys. My first day on Wall Street was October 19th, 1987, the day of the great crash. And I watched in absolute shock and awe as the market went down 508 points on the first day. And just like that, the game was over.
Wow.
That was really unbelievable. And I was like, the game's over. I never got to play. I watched everyone else play, and the game was over. And the firm I was with shut down after 100 years in business.
Do you think this was because you turned up?
Yeah, right. My mother said, if you went into politics, we could have had real problems, right? So anyway, the firm closed down, and I was out of a job again, no money, and I was desperate. And I ended up leaving the firm, was out of business. I was home, didn't know what to do, and I started looking through the help wanted section. I stumbled upon an ad for stockbrokers out in Long Island. It was a very small firm, and when I walked in, they were selling penny stocks. Didn't even know what it was. But I was desperate, and the words rent money were playing in my head. I couldn't even pay the rent. Took the job, and the same thing happened as with the meat business. I was the first day, shattered the company record, but this was different because I had this moment of clarity, a window of clarity. And this is one of the things I really believe that we all get in our lives. And when you're in that moment of clarity, that window, you got to jump through it. And for some reason, I understood a couple of things, a few distinctions that other people hadn't seen, and very quickly I realized it was a niche in the market, and I developed a system. This is a turnkey system based on 4 things, all part of one move, essentially to get from one place to another. And it got to the point within 6 months that I was making $1 million a year myself as a stockbroker, but I could train any human being, regardless of age, race, creed, color, socioeconomic background, educational status. It didn't matter. They could have this much desire, and I could amplify it, and in 6 months, they'd be rich too.
I remember reading that in the book, and that was one of the things that fascinated me was how much of a motivator you were. Like, it's so easy to say, oh, well, he made, like at the height of, you launched Steve Madden, you listed Steve Madden shoes.
I owned Steve Madden. It was my company, yeah. I owned it and listed it. But it's a good point what you're saying. Yeah, I get it.
And what I wanted to say was, it's very easy to say, and this is one of the questions I wanted to ask you, was, it's easy to say, oh, he made money because, he did some dodgy things.
Right.
But the actual fundamental principles of what you did would be applied to anything, doesn't it? Yes, okay, so there was some dodgy stuff that you did, but a lot of it was like 95% pulling together a team, actually motivating people, actually getting the culture, getting it to do, like there's a lot of businesses out there that are completely perfect, yet they don't have the culture that you had, they didn't have the motivation, they didn't have any of those things.
Here's the thing. the truth is the fact that the 5% I did wrong, if I did that right, I'd be a billionaire right now.
Yeah.
Because that costed me my success. That wasn't the basis of my success. The other part of it was the basis of my success. And here's the bottom line. It's very simple. There are 4 things that you have to do to be wildly successful at anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It could be money, relationships, spirituality, in love, in community, contribution, how you feel each day. That's 4 things, not 1,000 things, it's 4.
Yeah.
And I was doing these 4 things at the highest possible level at my firm. And here's the funny part. I didn't even know I was doing them. I was doing what's called an unconscious strategy.
Yeah.
I had stumbled upon this because it made sense to me. And sometimes when you do something really, really well, you don't even know how you do it. When you tie your shoes, you're not thinking how to put the loop over the loop.
Yeah.
You know, it's called being unconsciously competent. And I stumbled upon this, and it was so powerful that there was what's called a good enough factor. If you're doing those 4 things in any aspect of your life, you could even suck at them. But if you do all 4 of them together, you're still going to become wealthy. You're still going to hit whatever it is you're looking to hit. And here's how it starts, okay? The bottom line is this. Most people have goals in life. And we would both think you got to be goal-oriented. That's the first mistake. Yes, you need goals, but there is something far beyond goals, which is what all successful people have, and that's a vision. It's a vision for the future. See, here's it is. You see things as they are, but not worse than they are,
Yeah.
which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
They say, oh, it's so terrible. They tell themselves this wild story about why they can't take action, and in truth, the story they tell themselves is exactly what holds them back from being successful.
Agreed.
It's that bullshit story that stops them from acting. They're like, and they're, oh, there's so much, the economy, and they play the blame game, they complain, they justify, and it stops them from moving forward. So see things as they are, not worse than they are,
Yep.
and then see them better than they are,
Yep.
and make them that way.
And when you say better than that, you mean like just look into the future. Like in a year's
Whatever-
time, I want it to be like
whatever
that.
and listen, let's focus on money for a second, because especially this time in the economy, everyone's interested in making more money and securing the future for not just themselves, the families, for the children. And this is important. People say, money doesn't matter. I'm like, oh, so you're broke. Well, if someone tells you they're broke, they never had any money. Because just look at it like this. Just imagine if you said that your wife wasn't that important. How long would she stick around?
Yeah.
Not too long, right? Money's important. Money is not going to make you happy.
No.
But an absence of money could buy you an awful lot of misery. So I look at money as this. It's a problem that needs to be solved.
Yep.
And here's another distinction, which I think everyone should really key into, because this misconception that, in some way money might be evil. Here's the deal. There's no amount of poverty that you can have in your life that can make one other person wealthy.
Agreed.
There's no amount of misery that you can have in your life that can make one other person happy. There's no amount of sickness in your life that can make one other person healthy. So if you want to make the world a happier, healthier, wealthier place, then get as much of those gifts you can for yourself and then spread it around.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
I mean, I was thinking that the other day. I was driving along and I thought to myself, if I'm in a Ferrari right now, how is that? It's not worse off for anybody, because the guy that works at the Ferrari factory that designs, he's got a paycheck that he can then go and pay his mortgage and feed his kids and do all of that. The person that actually made the headlights, the person that made the wheels, the person that, the other company that contracts in to make the engine, there's nothing, if anything, having a more expensive car actually does more for the economy and actually helps people.
Yeah, but
yet the old belief is, well, they're taking a resource out, or, the rich
I hear
bastard.
what you're saying, but Ferrari isn't a particularly good example, because I know a lot of really miserable people that drive Ferraris. Driving a Ferrari is not going to make you happy.
No, it's definitely not going to make you happy.
And by the way, and here's the thing. If you love to collect Ferraris, you like to drive, that's great. I'll show you how to get a Ferrari. Making money is easy. It's really, really easy. What's harder, though, is fulfillment.
Yeah.
Money's just a part of the equation. So here's the way it is. You see things better than they are, make them that way. It requires 4 things, and here, I'll tell you what they are. I'm not going to hold it back. Number 1 is vision.
Yep.
The ability to create a clear and compelling vision for the future. And the way you do that is you actually, when you set a goal, you have to step into that goal and start to visualize it. You got to taste it, touch it, feel it, literally, really internalize it. Say, how would this world be? It's not just about when I get to there, then I'll be rich, or I get to there, I'll own a business. What's my world going to be like? How it's going to impact the people that I love? My parents, my children. How much time? See, people have a misconception. If I make money, I'll have less time for my family. Bullshit. When you make money, you have more time for your family. You secure the future of your family, future of your grandchildren. When I became wealthy, really wealthy, in the brokerage firm, which I'll get to later,